Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. Today we are going to make a melt in your mouth, delicious lemon chicken. And I'm going to show you how simple and easy it is to do. Let's get started. So let's get our ingredients going. We're going to start off with a half a cup of all-purpose white flour. Simple enough. And we've got one large egg, and we are going to add 1 tablespoon of water. So what we're going to do there is with that tablespoon of water, we're just going to make an egg wash. Okay, we just blend that together. Next, we have 3/4 cup of breadcrumb. These are Italian breadcrumbs. Of course, I made those myself. And we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. So I've got some parsley here. Basically roll it up into a ball best that you can, and then just quite simply start cutting. There we go. That's perfect. All right, so we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. We've got about 1 tablespoon of oregano. We're going to add that, and we're also going to add 1 tablespoon of paprika. 1 tablespoon of paprika. We're going to add all that to our breadcrumbs and then just kind of mix those ingredients together. Get those. So basically all we're doing here is we're seasoning our breadcrumbs. Now we have 1 chicken breast here, and I like to just pat it dry. Start off with a nice dry chicken breast. And all we're going to do is cut this in half lengthwise. So the way I like to do that, I just put my hand on top of the chicken breast and then just slice right through the middle of it, and you end up with 2 beautiful fillets just like that. So we take our chicken fillet. First thing, in the flour it goes. Baste it in the flour. All you want to do here is just cover it in flour. So turn it around, just make sure it's completely covered in flour. There we go. And now it goes into the egg wash. In the egg wash it goes, again, completely covered in egg. Okay, perfect. Drip off the little excess. And then we're going to put it into our breadcrumb mixture. And what I like to do there, give it a good shake. And you want to cover, again, both sides of the chicken breast fillet with the breadcrumb. And don't be afraid, you can push down a little bit on it, whatever you want to do to make sure that it's totally covered with the nice seasoned breadcrumb. All right, that's one. Now, quite simply, same thing with the next one. Flour, completely covered in flour. Okay, shake off the excess. This, by the way, is a fun thing for children to do too. If you have some children you want to teach to cook, they would love doing this. Okay, drip off the excess egg. Into our breadcrumb mixture it goes. Same thing. I'm just going to shake it up a bit. Flip it. You just want to make sure, like I say, it's all completely covered with the breadcrumb. Okay, there we go. That's looking good already. All right. How simple was that? There we go. That's our 2 chicken breast fillets ready for the frying pan right now. Before we start frying our chicken, let's just take a minute and get our sauce going. So here I have 2 tablespoons of butter, which is about 1/4 of a stick. And I'm going to put the heat on medium to medium low. So what we want to do is we want to melt this butter, but you don't want to boil the butter. You don't want to clarify it. You just want it melted. So you don't want the butter to separate. And that's very important. So we're just going to give that a minute and let it slowly melt. So once your butter has melted, what you want to do is take the juice from 1 lemon and just squeeze all that juice out of there and even get all the pulp. Get everything out of that lemon. Don't worry about the seeds. It all adds flavor, so just take that lemon and squeeze it and get everything out of it. Take that lemon juice and add it right straight in with the butter, seeds, pulp, and all. Okay, and then just kind of work it in there. That's it. Blend them in together. Now, if you don't have a fresh lemon, you could use 1/3 of a cup, even up to 1/2 cup of lemon juice. Okay, I can see that's starting to heat up now. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add 1/2 cup of dry white vermouth. Okay, this is one of the, I'm going to say, not secret key ingredient right here. This is going to balance off that lemon and that butter very, very nicely. Oh yeah, there we go. 1/2 cup. And again, I'm going to leave it on medium low, and we're going to let that simmer. Now, while that's simmering, we're going to fry up our chicken breasts. Oh, and I almost forgot. We need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I used unsalted butter, by the way, so I'm adding 1/2 teaspoon of salt to our sauce and just work that in. So our sauce is on medium to medium low, and it's cooking up nicely. It's okay if it reduces a bit. And in case I didn't mention it, the reason you don't want your butter to be clarified and come to a boil, when you add your lemon, if you did, it would curdle. And you don't want to curdle the butter. You want this beautiful sauce to formulate just like that. So that's why we had to melt the butter very, very slowly. Okay, so frying pan, put the temperature up to high, and I'm going to add some grapeseed oil here, and enough to give a good shallow fry. So I'm going to bring that up to temperature about 350 degrees, and at that point we can add our chicken and fry up our chicken. It won't take long to fry because they're relatively thin, and that's why this recipe comes together real quickly. And again, while that's frying, this can still be simmering away, which is really nice. 362, okay, perfect. I'm going to drop that down to medium high, and let's drop in our first fillet. Okay, and now let's get our second chicken fillet in there. There we go. All right, now I mentioned that I used grapeseed oil. You can use regular vegetable oil, that's no problem. You could use canola oil, sunflower oil, whatever you prefer. I just like to use grapeseed oil. It's neutral flavor and it takes a high heat very nicely. I really like it. Okay, so basically all we're gonna do is like a minute or two on each side. Once the underside gets golden brown, we're gonna flip it and cook the other side. What you'll start to see is browning on the outside edges of the chicken. And when that starts to happen, you know that you're going to be close to turning it. In fact, this is the first one we put in. I can see some nice brown happening there. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, see that's perfect. Same thing with this one. You can see this little bit of brown right here. That tells me that it's time to flip. There we go. Oh yeah. And again, a minute or two on that side, and that's it. They cook up relatively quickly because they're thin. It's been about a minute. That is looking good. That's done. Off goes the heat. Drain a little bit of that chicken, that oil. There we go. There's our one. There's our other fillet right here. If I can pick it up, you gotta love these tongs. Beautiful. Let's get that off the heat. Okay, now this can be shut down as well. We have our two nice chicken fillets. We can garnish with a little bit of lemon. Okay, and then you take that beautiful sauce, look at that sauce, and just pour it over top of your chicken. Look at that. That is going to add an intense flavor, beautiful flavor with those ingredients we put together. Absolutely beautiful. And then if you want, you can garnish again with a little bit of parsley. Okay, you can make it look nice. But better than looking nice, this is going to taste really nice. Oh my goodness, folks. Take a look at this dish. Oh my, do I ever love being in the kitchen. Okay, this is the part I always like the best. Oh my. Let's just cut into that chicken. get a little bit of this sauce. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Absolutely perfect. This taste is unbelievable. The vermouth with the butter and the lemon just make for a flavor that is to die for. And let me tell you, this outside crispiness with the breading that we put on there, what a meal. You saw how quick and easy that was to come together. If you're a working mom or a working dad or a working person, period, you come home from work, within a half an hour, you can have a dish like this ready to go. It's that easy, quick and simple. Whether you're cooking for 1, 2, or 10, doesn't matter. It comes together quick, so tasty. I really hope you get an opportunity to give this recipe a try. It is absolutely delicious, and I want to thank you for spending time with me and joining me on today's episode of Cooking with the Koyas. And until next time, buon appetito. Oh my.